Hi, I am Bert, working here at Vulpa Web Design. We create web applications, websites and web shops. I frequently get asked how we do several things in our development process, so I'm going to pick out a few things and put them into tutorials so you can follow along. Today we will be starting with the CSS Spinners. Where should you use these kind of spinners? For example, if you request some data from an API and you want to make the user feel like something is working for them in the background, just put the spinner out there and they will immediately know, oh, something is loading for me, I just have to wait a couple of seconds. For example, if the page loads for the first time, it could take some while, so you can also start with putting out a spinner in front of the website or the application. Alright, let's get into it. We've created a blank page with an h1 title. We've also created a div with a class spinners. Everything we create will live in this div. We've predefined two style sheets, one empty style sheet for the spinners itself, one style sheet to make it pretty, so everything is centered and lined up nicely. I'm going to start off with creating an extra div. This div will be empty in the first place, but we'll have a class of spinner1 because it will be our first spinner, of course. Now we've created the class, we will apply some CSS to it. All our code will be living in the before of the element, so we will create a before. I'm going to get this one off really quick, and I will go over it when I'm done. Okay, I've provided some simple CSS. We are going to position the spinner absolute in the container it lives in, positioned 50% on the top, 50% on the left. This will centerize the complete top left corner of our box. We are using box sizing border box, and the content is set to nothing because we don't want any content in it. I've provided a width and a length, width and a height, sorry, of 40 pixels, and I've provided a margin on the top and the left of -20, so the top left corner will be centerized in the middle of our box. I've provided also a border of light gray solid 3 pixels and a border top of solid orange. This will be resulting in this. We have a box that has one border in orange and all the rest of them in gray. Now this is not much of a spinner at this point, but we will have to make it round so it can be more of a round spinner. This will be done with border radius 50%. So that's more like it. The animation itself will be done by keyframes. So we'll add a keyframe. We will give it a name of keyframe1. The action will be 2, and we have to use a transform with a rotate, because we want to rotate the spinner of 360 degrees. Now, we don't see anything happening because we have to link these two together. So you have to put on our spinner an animation of, let's say we use the animation for 1 second, linear, and infinite. Infinite will make sure the transition will be repeating itself. And we also have to define its keyframe1 that we would like to use. We save the code, and now we see our spinner is loading. We could provide some other styles for other types of spinners, so I would like to make a copy of the spinner1. Name it spinner2. maybe even copy the styles of spinner 1. And for example, if we make the light gray into white, we will only have the orange circle circling around. So this will provide in something like this. And also, I forgot to name this too. So like this, we have both of them lined up next to each other. Alright, we will have to provide some other examples. Okay. As I said in the beginning, I will do a few examples. So for spinner 3, we will be using a slightly different approach on this. We will make it transparent, and this will result in a very neat effect, as you can see. For spinner 4, I would like to show you a different type of spinner. It's not actually a spinner, it's more of a line that moves from right to left and from left to right over your screen. We will have to make some adjustments on the code for this. For starters, we will be using one border. So it will be one border, it will be the border top that we will be using, and we have to remove the border radius because we want a square and only the top border is what we are going to use in this case. I have a margin of -20, but I wanted to start on 20 pixels from the side, so it starts together with the border of the div that contains the spinner. For this one, we will create another keyframe, keyframe number 2. For this one, we won't be using transform rotate, but we will go for the transform translate on the x-axis. And this because we have an, if you can see in the styles, we have the div where the spinners live in is 150 on 150 pixels. We already have a width of 40 pixels, so that leaves us with 110 pixels to move. And this could result into a fine line that moves over your screen. But we have to make it go the other way around as well. This can be done by adding an alternate effect. So it returns to the other side again. But this looks a little bit stiff. So we're going to add, instead of linear, we're going to use the ease in out. And you see it's a lot smoother, and yeah, it looks even more cool actually. For the 5th spinner, we're also going to use a circle again. This one is one of my favorites. It contains a white background, white border, excuse me, a white border, and 2 orange borders on the top border and the border bottom. This will result in a very cool effect, but to make it even cooler, we will also use the ease in and out, and also the alternate state. This will result in this cool fella over here. For the 6th spinner, and the last one, we will be using a circle again, but this time we will create a circle with just one color orange. We will also be creating a new keyframe, so keyframe number 3, and this time we will scale the circle. So we will be using transform scale, and let's say we let it grow 2 times the size. To do this, we will just be using 1 second, ease in and out, alternate, and infinite. This will be having an effect that just shrinks and grows and shrinks and grows the circle. So these are 6 spinner types that I like, and I actually use them quite often. So to give you a more realistic use case of this, we will be adding some JavaScript to simulate an API call. Okay, I've added a button on every spinner section. I've made the code so dynamically as possible. So I have one a call spinner function, which contains a spinner number. So when the spinner number 1 is provided, the content will be set to display none. We will show the spinner. The set timeout function will be applied. Whoops, this one has to be there. Yes. After 4 seconds, the spinner is removed and the content gets a new display block assigned to it. I've applied this 6 times, so this results in this. So I think this is really neat. So whenever an API call has been made, you can show the spinner, and when the API call is done, show the content again. So alright, that was the spinner tutorial. I will be using this kind of code in production, maybe everywhere. It's up to you if you want to use it. You're free to use it. It's not quite hard to use it. I hope you like that. We will be putting out some other tutorials. Maybe if you want to have a tutorial on something you're struggling with, contact us and we will try to figure it out for you. Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe.